Well, the largest manhunt in the history of the Los Angeles Police Department continues, with teams combing the hillsides of a ski resort where the suspect is believed to be hiding. Thousands of police officers are searching for Christopher Dorner, who is accused of having allegedly murdered 2 civilians and 1 police officer. Now, in a rambling internet manifesto, Dorner had declared war on law enforcement officials as well as their families, accusing the LAPD of, quote, internal corruption, racism, and the concealment of excessive force. Now, for more analysis on this story, we're joined live by Michael Ruppert, investigative journalist and actually a former LAPD officer himself. Sir, thanks so much for being on the program. Now, as a former LAPD officer, what do you personally make of Dorner's accusations against the department? I mean, do you see any validity to these claims, or are they simply the ramblings of a disturbed individual?
Well, first of all, let me say that, having been a detective and an accomplished investigative journalist, I do not accept the manifesto as it has been presented to the public as necessarily being authentic, complete. There are serious changes in the writing style, and that leads me to suspect that it may have been tampered with. However, with regard to his specific allegations about his case, and I'm currently reviewing legal documents that are becoming available online, I have to tell you that with regard to his allegations about a rigged trial board hearing and very egregious, unprofessional cover-up of excessive force, but also management, malfeasance, perjury, and a lot of other serious things, I believe him 100%. I do not think that the culture that existed in LAPD from way back from the time when I was there up through Rodney King, I do not think it has been eliminated. I do believe there is a good old boy network there, and I believe that just with regards to that Chris Dorner was a victim.
Now, sir, before we move on to more details about the case with Dorner, for our international viewers who may not be familiar with the issues involving police brutality, perhaps excessive force, the things you touched upon in the LAPD, can you expand on that and sort of explain briefly for our international viewers what the actual problems with the department are?
Well, the Los Angeles Police Department, of course, has had a history, both good and bad, mixed. But a lot of unfavorable incidents of the use of excessive force, of racist behavior, as was evidenced by the Rodney King beating and the Rodney King insurrection or riot of 1992. There have been, from the Rampart Division scandal years later, and many other incidents, the LAPD has been shown and has a consistent cultural problem with racism, cover-up, and cronyism within the department that has victimized, I think, and probably driven out a great many good officers. I left for similar reasons.
Well, that's quite interesting. Now, of course, when we go back to Dorner, I mean, this man is accused, allegedly, of murdering 3 individuals. He reportedly had a hit list of some 40 potential targets. I don't know if that's true or not. But at the same time, his case has surprisingly triggered an avalanche of support messages on the Internet, some even hailing him as an anti-system truth fighter. What would you explain is behind this, the support that's emerged?
Well, I don't condone what's happened, and I want the violence and killing to end. But more important, I want him to be brought in alive, which is something I do not think that LAPD, law enforcement, or the U.S. government wants under any circumstances. He has stood up, and he is an accomplished, experienced covert warrior. He has worked with special operations personnel. I have many years of experience working with and dealing with U.S. Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs. This is a warrior trained many levels above anything most local police departments would be familiar with. He has skill sets. He's a threat. He hasn't been caught yet. And he is articulate. He was an officer in the U.S. Navy, honorably discharged. He served some serious, respectable combat duties. He had command. And this is not a flake. This is not some guy with a high school diploma who became a cop. And for that reason, he is both symbolically and in a very real physical sense a threat because he has stood up. And I don't think that anybody wants him to come in alive on the government side, and I think he should be brought in alive.
All right, well, there's also been some information that news helicopters are perhaps being prohibited from following the manhunt, which has sparked speculation, at least, that the authorities could perhaps try to take him down without giving him a chance for a day in court. What do you make of that?
Well, like I said, I come from a CIA family, and I've spent a great deal of time with special operations warriors. His skill set and his tradecraft is far superior to anything law enforcement has. Tracking helicopters means nothing, or using helicopters to track the manhunt means nothing. He's several steps ahead of law enforcement, and everything else is just show at this point. They found his truck burned in Big Bear, and I firmly believe he's had months to prepare this operational plan. His legal appeals ran out in 2012, so he's had many months to prepare a plan, and he's 4 or 5 steps ahead of law enforcement at this point. He probably had a time delay device to burn his truck in Big Bear, and he was probably hundreds of miles away. I think that at this point, law enforcement has no idea where he is.
Well, it certainly sounds like something out of a movie. Michael C. Ruppert, investigative journalist and former Los Angeles Police Department officer, weighing in on this very bizarre story as it develops. Thank you so much, sir.